What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode of Ludus is about the update that just occurred, all the buffs that happened, and everything coming to Ludus in the near future. Something I am super excited about, and all of these buffs I am so pleased with. So let's get into them. You're going to be seeing this portion of the screen for a little while as I read off of the Discord our announcement on what is coming up in Ludus, and then we'll look at the actual news of buff changes and stuff like that. So, we have our new heroes. Let's actually start with that. So Vulcan is actually a lot of fun. I got him to level 10 already. He is so much fun. All right, Vulcan. He is a mad science faction member. His health is 3.5 million. His damage is 44,000 damage, and his attack speed is 1 second. He deals 362,000 damage in a wide frontal area and shocks them, reducing outgoing damage by 25% and slowing them down. Vulcan starts combat, increasing his attack speed by 20% every 5 seconds up to 100%. So basically he has a railgun, and if you're any sort of gun fanatic, played any sort of Call of Duty, if you ever played StarCraft and played Tychus, or Heroes of the Storm and played Tychus, you'll know that railguns essentially start off super slow, and as you keep pulling the trigger, the bullets come out faster and faster and faster and faster. That's essentially Vulcan's whole concept. His buff pattern is pretty sweet, but hard to adjust to. Having these two out here, kind of like it does look like a goalpost to me. It's a little weird getting used to it, but once you get used to the buff pattern, you really see where he sits. He is a long-range attacker, and ultimately, he doesn't move very much from my recollection of using him. But outside of that, he does really, really well. He has a hexagon and a diamond and double diamonds as his perks. If I'm being outright honest, I use lightning reflexes and ricochet to start it off. It went swimmingly. I really had no real problem with it. High explosives is a little bit better than ricochet, in my humble opinion. But he does get another diamond. So you can do high explosives, ricochet, and lightning reflexes, and you just basically cut out the 5 seconds. If you don't want to use lightning reflexes because you're using it on something else, I recommend Daydreams or his fortification. You can also do enchanting music if you so choose. That's up to you. I don't personally like enchanting music, but I also don't have it at level 60, so I'm basically comparing apples and oranges here, if I'm being honest. Outside of that, Vulcan, very, very fun. You'll be seeing a video on him from me very, very soon. Galactian will be the other new card. So Vulcan was purchasable. Galactian will be ethereal summoned. Straightforward. His buff pattern is really good. It is a reverse of Tech Golem and Rocker. Really, really like this. Plus, he's a dragon. I love dragons. I'm going to be getting him. I'm going to try and force him to level 15. Just gonna happen. That's just how I see things. He creates a black hole at the center of the enemy's half of the board and drags all enemies towards it. He deals 153,000 damage and reduces their attack speed by 25% and slows them down. This is at level 7. I'm sure this will be significantly higher at level 10. Every time you see a card and it's not found, the information is based off of a level 7 stats. His attack speed is 1.3 seconds, his damage is 155,000, and his health is 2.3 million. But look at this animation. Just look at that. It sucks everything in. I cannot wait to play him. He is going to be, I guarantee you, him and Muerta are going to be my backliners. Everything else is going to mean nothing to me. His perks are circle, square, diamond. Very interesting. The one thing I am going to despise about this card is his perk. Singularity. At the start of each round, teleports an enemy at the square across the enemy line symmetrical to its own to another dimension for 3 seconds. The enemy takes 250% of hero's damage and is gone from the board. At level 20, returning from another dimension, the enemy gains weakness for 5 seconds, increasing incoming damage by 50%. At level 60, Singularity affects all heroes in that row. An entire flippin' row. No! At level 100, returning from another dimension, the enemy gains stun for 5 freaking seconds. 5. What? The only things that are not going to be affected by this is Monkey King and a max level onslaught perk, or not onslaught, lightning reflex perked card. So Griffin, Kitsune, Monkey King, fucking anything that can have the lightning reflexes on it. It will not affect it if it's level 100. But really think of the ramifications for this. You have 2 Galactians with the singularity, with his ability, supered out on the board. What? An entire row goes bye-bye. For 3 seconds, there's going to be half the board gone on both sides. Now, given the fact that it has damage, or is dealing damage to the cards while they're gone, I'm wondering within that 3 seconds if they're gaining their ability. If that's the case, it will add for a little bit more of an explosive return. As, you know, if you take away Muerta, you take away Griffin, and you take away, let's say, Evil Eye for funsies. When they come back, Muerta's most likely going to summon her skeletons. Griffin's going to be pissed and jump to your back line. And then Evil Eye is going to just basically leash onto something and hold it. I'm wondering how this is going to play. But I'm also seeing that this is going to be a requirement for all lineups. Similar to Swamp, Landmine, and Scorched Earth being kind of a necessity for each lineup. Singularity, I believe, is going to be on top of that as well. Super, super strong card. Really, really strong perk. Either way, it's going to be interesting. So, moving on, we have Aqua Vitae is the newest perk to be added to the game. That is Aqua's perk. Now, this one, I can take it or leave it. I'm not too enthused about it, but I can also see its purpose. Aqua Vitae, using an energy costing ability, restores 2 allies 12 by 12, or restores allies' health by 12%. So, at level 20, it increases to 3 targets. At level 60, it increases to 4 targets. Aqua Vitae, I believe, would be good on something like Firestarter. Firestarter has a circle perk. Firestarter really doesn't do great with Swamp, but it does help him, or he does use it quite a bit. I guess it does benefit a little bit because it triggers multiple times, but Landmine is useless again or with him. Ray of Light does okay. Hocus Pocus is useless. Basically, on a card like Firestarter, Hocus Pocus and Deadly Swamp, or Hocus Pocus and Landmine, there we go. 2 of the damage dealing perks aren't that great. Singularity, when it comes out, is going to be good on Firestarter, but it's going to be better on something else as it's a 250% damage increase. So, yeah, I would see Aqua Vitae being better than Ray of Light, but needing to sit on a card that doesn't do high amounts of damage. So any of your support cards, really. I guess for support card, it works if you're a support card player. I just go pure damage, so I guess I just don't see the relevancy. However, I do understand that if you combine this with Fortification, you're essentially creating an opportunity to have cards that aren't losing health for initially the first 15 seconds of the match. That could be where it plays its value, really. So, now for the rest of the updates. We have a new feature. It is called Temple of Fortune. As you can see here, I picked 5 cards that I'm really looking to work up, which I'm taking up to level 13 because, or I want to take to level 15 because Deadly Swamp makes all the makes cards turn into toads at max level. So I want her at max level, which is also very, very good. Same thing with Lava Girl. Lava Girl is going up for her perk. Monkey King is going up because of the 3rd slot. Tech Golem for his perk. Vulcan for perk and for personal use. But what you wind up doing is you get to exchange diamonds. Diamonds are now in the shop. You get 90, 300, or 900. You use 30 of the diamonds to roll. Now, you get 5 attempts to roll. On your 5th attempt, it's guaranteed. I'm not 100% if I did this wrong. I woke up, I saw it, I just immediately filled the line. what I should have done was really taken the time to analyze it. And I think if you put one card here and leave the other 4, you can do your exchanges, get up the copies as quickly as possible, get rid of it, and then do one at a time. I'm not 100% if it does it every single time, or if it works that way. If it does, tell me in the comments. I jumped way too far ahead, and I cannot take them down. I guess you have to do the 5, because auto pick kind of went away. But either way, this is a really good change for a lot of the whales out there. It is helping them get their cards to level 15 that they've been working on. For everybody who is new to the game, you can see what cards don't do well and start taking those copies. It is all legendary for legendary, so keep that in mind. For like me personally, I'll be using up like Treants, Gearhead is going to get used up, and Paladin, Gunflower, basically all the cards I'd never see myself actually using. I'm going to use those up, but I'm using it sparingly. I want to get my mains down first and then build from there. So that's something I highly recommend. I wouldn't go balls to the wall in this. If you want to, go for it. It's your money, it's your decision, it's your account. One thing I am seeing a frequent thing, highly frequently, is people are spending a lot of money, getting a lot of cards maxed out, getting a lot of perks to the red zone, and then they're getting bored because they're winning all the time. There's really no challenge unless you play an OP bot. Then you're losing to the OP bot because you're getting shortchanged, and then you just go and dominate everything else, and then you come back and it's just a back and forth. And for some reason, people don't find that fun. Makes sense, unless you're super competitive like me and just like to win all the time. So if you want to be like Wiz Khalifa and win no matter what, go down that route. But if you want to stay in the game and you want to continue to have fun in the game, don't go so fast that ultimately you're killing off the fun for you. Climbing is half the fun. Working everything up is half the fun. Getting all of it too quick can kill that fun. So I would use this sparingly. Probably I would do this once a month. I would save up gems that you get along the month time through the week events, the weekend events, and stuff like that. I would use those gems, whatever you get off of that. I would use basically any and all spare gems at the end of the month to do a few rolls. I can state this for my own experience. I've spent a little bit of money to do some rolls here. Literally, I didn't get any new copies until the 5th roll every single time. So that's possibly something to look or to kind of keep on your radar through this time. Is if it takes 150 gem or diamonds to get one copy, understand it takes 150 gems to get one copy. So, or 150 diamonds. Take it or leave it. Grand scale kind of thing. Okay. Updated contest rush. Stars rules. So, the contest rush. Stars. The event during which players match how many super merges they manage is now available to Arena 8+ players. Competition champions will receive Dice of Fortune to enable card exchanges at the temple. The contest rush hearts. Contest remains tied to Arena 3, but we're revising its core rule. Now you'll be earning hearts by taking them from your opponents. This way, even losing a duel, you can still advance. That's weird. Okay, so contest rush. This is something I'm not super familiar with, but have become a part of. So this is nice. Okay, so this is going to help the temple. So contest rush stars. The event during which players match how many super merges they manage is now available. Competition champions will receive Dice of Fortune to enable exchanges at the temple. So contest rush, keep this in your peripherals at all times. Constantly check if this is up. I recommend doing this. The contest rush for hearts is very, very good. It gives, if you play for an hour, you can essentially get 1,000 gold each day. So that does add up very, very quickly. I recommend doing this as often as you possibly can. Now that this is available, or will be available in 15 hours and 40 minutes, now that this is available and you're going to get Dice of Fortune from this, I recommend looking at both of these, making sure you're doing these. If you're grinding the ladder and you're invested in this, this is something to look into constantly, both of these. Maintain that value. If they're giving you options to get free stuff, always utilize those options. I am very bad at that when it comes to watching the ads, but I'm starting to get myself better at knowing that if I just go with what they're giving me, it does help me instead of me waiting every 2 weeks for a paycheck. Ethereal Summons update. Spending 50 crystals and not getting the week's amplified Ethereal Summons hero kind of sucks, doesn't it? So we're changing this rule and making the whole thing more predictable. From now on, your chance to get the week's hero as a legendary card drop will grow with the number of crystals you've spent. 0 to 50 crystals gives you a 50% chance. 51 to 100 crystals gives you a 75% chance. And 101 to 150 crystals gives you a 100% chance. Once you get your guaranteed hero of the week, the chance resets and you start building it up again. Recommended might level oh, that's different. Okay, so they changed the location of the polls as well. It is now in the workshop over in the shop. So what they're stating here is actually what I ran into last week when Kitsune was the Ethereal Summons. I did 200 polls, 220, something along those lines, and I got one copy of Kitsune, and she was the featured hero. So, the fact that they've now done these and increased the drop chances, better. I like this. I like this a lot. This will actually guarantee a lot better. You still have those chances where obviously it's a 50% chance, 75% chance. So between 0 and 100 crystals, you have anywhere between a 50% chance and a 25% chance not to get the card. So at least you'll know. You know, that's a big positive. They do have that offer that comes out that's like $60 for 300 pulls. So you're guaranteed out of those 300 pulls, you're guaranteed 2 copies at least, at minimum 2 copies. So that's really, really good. Recommended might level retirement. With the introduction of perks, a new feature affecting player and deck strength, there's clearly been a shift in the game balance, making might an unreliable indicator of whether a player is ready to enter this or that arena. Consequently, we decided to disable this indicator so as not to confuse you. Okay, so might level doesn't play a role in matchmaking anymore. It's freaking random. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That should make for more... That kind of explains the fights I've been having the last 2 days. Okay. That's pretty sweet. The Grand Tournament overhaul. We're now going to have tournament passes instead of gloves, it looks like. They are red little tickets. Every 2 weeks, we will be launching a new tournament season, allowing you to advance through tournament pass levels. To open up levels, you will need tournament pass tokens, earned according to tournament placement. To get more tournament pass rewards, players can purchase one of the 2 types of tickets. Tickets increase token yields, unlock additional pass rewards, provide access to the tournament's treasury, and have other advantages. Okay, we're gonna finish off what's left here, and then I'm gonna give my analysis of this because this is a lot. A new resource you can spend in the tournament's treasury. They're golden teeth. Earn them as rewards for advancing through the tournament pass, opening champions' chests, and watching ads. Golden teeth do not reset on treasury restocking, so you can save up towards whatever was caught or whatever has caught your fancy. That is good. Being able to roll things over is going to be very beneficial, especially for hoarders. Updated champions' chests. I'm curious on this one. We've significantly upped the chance of getting the champion's chest as a reward for winning first place in the grand tournament, while adding a chance to get it at second and third place rewards too. The number of chest rewards per season is now finite. Moreover, champions chests are no longer restricted to Ludus Royal members and are now unlocked simply by purchasing either of the tournament passes ticket types. Okay. Oh, tokens earned rating. This is the continuation on the Grand Tournament overhaul. See how you rank against the other Grand Tournament players in the new rating. in this new rating. Take part in the tournaments, earn tokens, and get special rewards for rating places. That's pretty fucking great. So that now means there's more incentive to play the grand tournament. There's now a leaderboard that goes into it for ranking. So that means that there's coins, probably going to be ethereal summons. Most likely there's going to be new avatar frames and avatars to go along with it, which is pretty nice. Having more incentive to play the grand tournament. Now, I want to focus on this Champions Chest for a second. I just stated this a day, maybe 2 days ago. I think it was a day ago. No, 2 days ago. 2 days ago in my clan chat. I went 2 months without seeing a Champions Chest. 2 freaking months. And then I won 12 times in a day to finally get there. So the fact that now is increased, that they upped the chance for it, and now that you can possibly get it on second and third place, fan-freaking-tastic. This is a great way. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hear you have to pay for another pass. There's another pass to pay for. I want to point out a grand scale kind of thing to you here. Spending in mobile games is never going to die. However, you can look at it one of 2 ways. You can look at it as I'm spending money on passes, I'm spending money on token pulls, I'm spending money on rune passes, all this other thing. I'm spending money. If you really only focus the grand tournament pass that's going to come out, focus those. Focus the rune hunt. And that's it. You can do the battle pass. Battle pass is kind of a given. You get a battle pass for an entire month. It's really not a big problem on that one. But if you do the rune hunt every week and you do the tournament every 2 weeks and you only spend money on the tournament and on the rune hunt, you're gathering gems from the rune hunt so you can do the weekly challenges with the gems. You're getting resources left, right, and center through the rune hunt, and now with grand tournament, with those chests, you're getting more. So really, they have actually taken the monetary black hole that this game could be and erased it if you only focus on the passes instead of focusing on pulls. Pulls are great. It is great to do the pulls, but now they have now you have a way to take those crappy legendaries you don't want to use and turn them into ones you want to use through the Temple of Fortune. They're giving you a chance every single day to play Contest Rush to get diamonds for the Temple of Fortune. And if it's every day or every other day, either way, throughout the week, you're getting multiple chances there. So they've now decreased the amount of spending you have to do. And speaking as someone who spends money on these games, I am very thankful for that, because that is now going to allow for me to be able to kind of lock it into my brain that I really only need Rune Hunt and the tournament. That's it. The rest of the time, I'm going to get legendaries from all of that. And then I can take what other ones, or which ones I did get and don't want, and convert them over to ones I do want. Way to go, devs. This is so good so far. The Battle Pass overhaul. We now get faction chests. Opening this chest, you'll get a selection of legendary cards from one faction, and can choose one to keep. Each season, Battle Pass level rewards will include chests from 3 different factions, rotated season to season. Oh, that's so good. Being able to actually pick your legendary card is going to be so beneficial. A lot of rosters that have been kind of stagnant and have plateaued are now going to jump up. There's something called an endless chest. As soon as you reach the Battle Pass level 100, okay, so that is what this is considered. This is an endless chest. This is an endless chest. As soon as you reach Battle Pass level 100, you'll start getting 1 faction chest per 10,000 Battle Pass tokens instead. The faction will be chosen at random with each new chest opened. You can unlock this feature by purchasing a Battle Pass ticket. The only thing I hope is that this stays. The coin stays. Get rid of the rare, get rid of the epic. That's perfectly fine. I'm sick and tired of seeing rares and epics. Absolutely makes perfect sense. Keep the coin. You get to pick a legendary. You get to pick a legendary. And I'm going to say that one more time. You get to pick a legendary. That's pretty fantastic. That's going to help so many rosters. So many are going to just get increased just from the fact that you can pick and choose what you need from those factions. Really great. Revamped pass rewards. We took rewards from some of the free ticket levels and used them to make gold, rare, and epic card reward slots even bigger. I don't like that. I don't like that. That reads weird to me. Double rewards. Diamond ticket holders will have some of the pass levels feature 2 additional rewards. Oh, okay. So if you get the... I guess they're going to do something called the diamond ticket. And some of the rewards will have 2 additional rewards. So something similar to this. That's what I'm getting from that. Enhanced level skipping. Skips now come in bundles. So you can skip 1, 5, or 10 at a time. So you can spend money now to jump the levels instead of grinding. Just so you can get to level 100 and do the 10,000 battle pass tokens to start getting legendaries. That's pretty great. For spenders, at least. Gifts for fellow clan members. Buying tickets and keys for various in-game activities now generate gifts for members of your clan. The gift will be posted in clan chat, allowing any member to claim a portion of the reward it contains. Keep an eye on clan chat to get it while it lasts. So I guess that's a first come first serve thing. So there are going to be clan members who just sit in clan chat and wait for these gifts to show up, and they're just going to click it and just take it. So this may cause an issue, it may not. You generate gifts by purchasing the Ludus Royal, Battle Pass tickets, Magical Challenges Magic Ticket, Astral Keys, Tournament Pass tickets, Portal Challenges Portal Gun, and Rune Hunt Keys. That's interesting. So that is what is coming to Ludus. Honestly, outside of the gift thing and the revamped pass rewards, I'm waiting to see what the revamped pass is. We have 1 day, 15 hours till our season ends. So I'm curious as to what this is going to entail. Yeah. Needless to say, on the surface, all of this sounds really, really good. On the surface, it sounds really good. Below the surface of the glacier, though, it could bode some problems. Yeah. Here's now the heroes and buffs balance changes. Now, full disclosure, I've already done a video on this. Full disclosure, I erased that video. It took too damn long, and I got sidetracked. So, I already have my opinions on the buffs and stuff like that. 95% of the buffs I appreciate. 5%, I can take it or leave it. So, first and foremost for our heroes, Boris has now had his damage increased for his ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5. So it reads, the amount of damage dealt by Boris's ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 10%. His damage output in general was upped by 42%. Conceptually, Boris is a brawler whose job is dealing lots of melee damage and causing chaos in enemy lines. But compared to other frontline heroes, his damage output was subpar. So he upped his attack capabilities accordingly. Pretty great. Boris was nerfed a while back because his ability got a combat boost that restored its health and basically made him a bruiser tank that could not be dropped, especially if you had a genie. If you had a genie involved, his ability kept going off. He kept restoring health. Genie kept restoring his health. It was a cluster hell of a nonsense, and it was basically the best counter to 99% of the decks that were out there at that time. That got nerfed into the ground, and then perks got introduced, and Boris became, well, useless. So now that his damage has been upped, his ability damage has been increased, I think he'll be very, very good. His perk slots are diamonds, so I think it's full diamond. Nope, diamond and a square. So if you get him to level 13, you can obviously slap a shield on him, being armor plating, bulwark, or shield of faith, or even Vulcan's fortification. Or no, not fortification. That's a lie. I used the wrong term. It's shield of faith, armor plating. Just click on it. Shield of faith, armor plating, bulwark, lightning reactor. You can do lightning reactor and it'll still work because he's already pushing him back with his ability. Now he can push him back, stun him with the perk, and then push him back with his ability and cause damage. The ideal slots that you want for him is Ricochet and High Explosives, as he does 293,000 damage now. So, pretty insane. You can also do Sharknado. That will do just fine. I will be doing something with Boris here very, very soon. Okay, Brewmaster. The amount of damage dealt by Brewmaster's ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 10%. His ability now prioritizes damage dealers. We've changed the way the Brewmaster picks his targets. Now he tries to debuff the big hitters first, and to make him better at this, we've increased his ability's damage across the merge levels. Love me some Brewmaster. I love Brewmaster. He is a part of my main deck lineup. This is my Rune Hunt lineup. Where is it? Oh no, I changed it. Yeah. So essentially, he's a part of this lineup here. Rocker is replaced with Iron Tony. Nightmare is replaced by Brewmaster. This is just my Rune Hunt lineup because I'm trying to stay ahead. But Brewmaster is still so much fun for me. And the fact that his ability has now been increased, and now that Fortification has been released, that's what I play on him. For Brewmaster, I do Scorched Earth, Daydreams, and Fortification. Those are the 3 main perks on him, and I have not found a single problem with any of it. Fortification allows for him to protect Muerta and the front line at the same time, because he kind of moves in between them and the radius is so huge. If you have 2 Brewmasters with Fortification active, they overlap each other, and when they overlap each other, it is 66% damage reduction instead of 33, which is its cap. So that's really good. And the fact that he does the Bad Aim Curse, his poison now does more damage. It's all just, it's so good. Yeah, I can't say anything bad about Brewmaster. He just got a whole lot better. He has always been A tier for me. He is now going to be S tier for me, because since the update, I have noticed when he is on the team with those perk lineups, I've actually been beating multiple red decks. Now, there is a certain number you get to with red perks that you can't win. However, I have become comfortable now, without having any red perks, being able to fight 4, 5, and 6 red perk decks because of Fortification and because of Brewmaster's Bad Aim Curse. Brewmaster targeting the damage dealers significantly sways the battle, or the tide of battle. I just take it from me, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay, Buddy. Buddy's damage and HP are up by 12%. Hard pressed by enemies that can threaten the backline, Buddy often found himself in a precarious position. To alleviate this, we've increased his base stats, making him more resilient to enemy abilities and able to deal more damage himself. Buddy is still very good, but Buddy needs to be level 13, and he needs to have a shield perk for him to be useful. Fortification can go on Buddy. It does well. I still recommend having him at level 13 before you start maining him. Having him in Grand Tournament, though, with these changes, very, very beneficial. Firestarter got the change I've been wanting. Ricochet and high explosive perks now apply to attacks made by Firestarter while in his bunker. His damage and HP are up by 6%, and the shield applied to his bunker and merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is 5% tougher. That is insane. I said it multiple times throughout videos leading up to this, that Firestarter was not to be used with perks. He sucks, yada, yada, yada. Now he is viable. Putting like Aqua Vitae on him, putting on high explosives or Ricochet, and then having on him Shield of Faith or tech armor plating or Bulwark. All 3 of those for the square. He becomes such a tanky supporting damage dealer that is redonkulously good. I love Firestarter. I have another deck that I'm using with him. He's helped me grind out quite a bit. And the fact that the perks now work while he's in the bunker, it's fantastic. Some of the perks didn't play well with the Firestarter's signature ability. The bunker is an ability, and the attacks made when inside it didn't count as regular attacks. That is what I believe I stated. I know I stated it multiple times in Discord and in the clan chat. Now, attack enhancing perks proc with bunker's attacks too. We've also buffed his damage soaking ability to make him more of a backline defender. I love the fact that they did this to Firestarter. It makes me happy now that I have him at level 13, whereas before I was very disconcerted with the fact I took him to level 13. But the fact I had the foresight, knowing he was going to be good, very, very happy with all of that. The amount of Gambler is the next one. The amount of damage dealt by Gambler's ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 10%. At merge levels 3 and 4, instead of slowing enemies down, his ability applies stun for 1 second. Need to take a drink. Throat's getting a bit scratchy, I'm talking a lot. At merge level 5, his ability now stuns the target for 2 seconds. Capable of teleporting enemies across the board, the Gambler is a good counter to melee enemies. However, this ability was weak against ranged attackers, so we buffed it to make him more of a versatile hero. So what they did was they took the slow away and they just did the level 60 buff that he has on his perk and applied that to his ability. Gambler is very, very good at disrupting. I did put out a video before all this where he was slow, and we saw how good he was then. Now he's better. So if you can slap onto him, he has Circle and Hexagon for his perks. What I would highly recommend is throwing on Landmine or Hocus Pocus. You can do Deadly Swamp, but I recommend Landmine and Hocus Pocus, especially for his placements on the field. And then you slap on Lightning Reflexes for him to hit a lot faster, or Fortification. So that way he has a little bit more resiliency to landmines that are going to be in his vicinity. It'll help out quite a bit. The fact that he's stunning them now makes it a whole heck of a lot better. Makes him sit in things a lot more. Very, very solid. Very good change. I'm not disconcerted by it, but I'm also at the point where if I see a Gambler on the opponent side of the field, I'm now hesitant about my placements because of the fact he's adding that stun now instead of the slow. Before, if all you focused on was the slow, Lightning Reflexes canceled that out. Really didn't do too much. But now, Lightning Reflexes is the only thing at max level. Monkey King and Lightning Reflexes at max level are the only real counters to Gambler stun now, and that's pretty phenomenal. Mako, all he had was his buff pattern changed. It went from 3 on the left and down to now 4, which is 1 to the right and then 3 on the left and down. Very, very good. He's the reverse version of Firestarter now, which is fantastic. Although Mako himself is a solid performer, regardless of the deck he's in, his merge pattern left something to be desired. The new one will make his merges more useful. Completely agree. Imp. The amount of damage dealt by Imp's ability at merge levels 3 and 4 is up by 25%. The amount of damage dealt by his ability at merge level 5 is up by 10%. We like the Imp survivability and his combat role as a buff remover. However, his damage output was subpar, so we made his abilities hit harder. Fantastic, honestly. I love Imp. Imp is another one of my favorites. I have so many favorites in this game. But he's the one that a lot of people sleep on because he is squishy. However, the fact that his ability now is increased, they did this perfectly. I believe that they didn't make Imp too overpowered. They just made him more versatile. They made him more... He's now able to fit into a majority of decks and not feel like a hindrance. He is now definitely a big positive. I know when I play with Imp and stuff like that, I do feel like he has to be in a certain type of deck build. Vis-a-vis being 2 tanks, an Imp, and then backline. With the way his ability reads now, it means he's going to melt things a lot faster. So I really believe him with Kitsune and Griffin now as the triple frontline will be very, very good. 1 tank, Imp, and like Kitsune, very, very good. I feel like he's now in more of a variety standpoint than anything else, which is solid. Lich is one I am most excited about. The amount of damage dealt by Lich's ability at merge levels 3 and 4 is up by 15%. The amount of damage dealt by his ability at merge level 5 is up by 5%. The strength of his ability's explosion effect at merge level 5 is up by 15%. And the buff applied by his passive ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 100%. Now, I know when you see 100%, you're like, woo, that's so much damage, he's so broken. It's really not. It's 1%. So his ability, his passive ability was 1% for each dead card on the field. Legion of Darkness. So basically now it is 2% per each one. Now I'm going to add the cherry on top of this. It's 2%. If you have Muerta on the field, she pops out the tokens. That's 8% increase just off that one card. If you have Mummy Warrior out, that's 6% with just that one card when his dogs come out. If you have Mummy Warrior and Muerta on the field, is 12% increase when just those two supered and their abilities going off. So, something to keep in your mind. Lich is very, very strong. He's always been very strong. He just got a whole heck of a lot stronger. The only thing I have left on Lich that I hope that they change is his buff pattern. His buff pattern is still to the left, 3 up. If they change that to where it is on the left, 3 up, and then one more buff pattern directly in front of him, making him kind of a pointed up and down version of Tech Golem and Rocker's buff pattern, I think that would work out very, very well and make him a lot more versatile. All legendaries that have only 3 buff patterns, I feel all of those need to be changed. They need to be at least 4 to make them a lot more viable. A lot of reasons why people don't use a majority of these cards is because of the 3. Now, I know Kitsune is an exception to that rule. She is 3 slots, and she's used quite frequently, but that's because of her ability and the fact that she energy drains, slows, and shocks at the same time. That's what makes her viable. Boris has 3 buff patterns. Is he going to be used more frequently now? Possibly, with his increase in damage. If he goes to a 4 level or 4 buff pattern, he's going to be used a lot more frequently because of the fact he's hitting 4. These are my views, nothing else. Mimic. The amount of damage dealt by Mimic's ability at merge levels 3 and 4 is up by 20%. The amount of damage dealt by his ability at merge level 5 is up by 11%. The strength of his healing ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 20%. We wanted to make the Mimic tougher, but not by giving it a flat HP increase. So we buffed its healing ability. We also made its other abilities hit slightly harder to help it keep up with other melee heroes. Okay, we just turned another bruiser into an amazing tank. The reason I'm saying this is Mimic has 2 squares and a hexagon. So, if you really want to get down to the brass tacks of it all, lightning reflexes and 2 shield perks on Mimic makes him an absolutely amazing tank. The fact that he eats the opponent and takes them away from the field for 3 seconds makes him a controlling tank. Now that his healing ability is increased by 20%, it is now over 1 million, if not a little bit more than that. Gotta check. He can go up now, so. Oh, it's 2 million. It is now 2 million restoring health. So that makes him an even bigger tank. If you are a fan of Heroes of the Storm, you know about Stitches. This makes him into a Ludus version of Stitches. He's going to grab him, he's going to eat him, he's going to keep him in his belly, and he's just going to regen health. You include him with a support card such as Angel or Genie or Aquavita. That's going to make Mimic a very, very good frontliner. The other thing I'm seeing about this is if you can slap lightning reflexes and have him pointed at the Tech Golem that has the max level armor plating, at Griffin with max level armor plating, anything that can avoid damage for a certain amount of time, having Mimic eat that card and take that off the field, honestly is probably very, very good, very, very incentivized. Mimic is going to become a staple in a lot of decks, especially at level 13 when he can be double shielded. Monkey King. The amount of damage dealt by Monkey King's ability at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 5%. The pattern of his merge buff has been revised. So now, when they say revised, I want to show it real quick because it's really hard for me to explain. His buff pattern used to be here, and then these 2 up here. They took these 2 up here, moved them down here. So now, whereas beforehand he was rows 4, 3, and 2, now he's in his proper rows, which is 1, 2, and 3. Now, Monkey King is immune to control effects, so he is basically able to negate out a majority of the perks that have stun features to them. Sharknado, It's Sharknado, Shield of Faith, Lightning Reactor, and like a few other ones. There's a couple of them that stun. Oh, Hocus Pocus stuns and stuff like that. Monkey King is very good because of all that. With his damage increase now, we have 677,000 damage off of his ability. He stuns everything for 2 seconds and teleports to the furthest most. If you go and slap on max level armor plating, if you throw on Shield of Faith, Bulwark, it doesn't matter. Any of these three, even Lightning Reactor, Monkey King is just a chore to deal with. Put on Onslaught and Lightning Reflexes, Monkey King is just redonkulous to deal with. And now that Fortification has been released, you can do Fortification instead of Lightning Reflexes, and you've got an even bigger backline jumper that's just redonkulously difficult to deal with. Monkey King is going to become meta. He's already making his way into it. People already hate him enough that he is becoming a meta. So just be aware Monkey King is out there and he is running wild. Little Red Cap. Little Red Cap's damage and HP are up by 15%. The increase to Wolf's damage at merge level 5 is up by 20%. And his damage at merge levels 3 and 4 is up by 20%. The regeneration effect at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 75%. We're keeping close watch on our new heroes and try to act quickly on the feedback you leave on our social media pages. Having analyzed the battle stats, we've decided to thoroughly buff the Little Red Cap and her wolf, making her significantly tougher and her pet much more dangerous. When Little Red Cap was released, I absolutely adored her. I love the fact that she brought out another body. It was great, but she did leave me wanting, as the wolf, if it vanished, there was nothing left. Like, she was just kind of standing there. Now that her damage has been increased, the wolf's damage has been increased, I think she'll be seen as a splash card quite a bit. During the Outlaw buff week, she is most likely going to be seen quite a bit because she is going to be getting that faction buff. But I think you'll see her mostly in token builds, vis-a-vis Muerta, Witch Doctor, and Little Red Cap being up front. Jelly Knight, Mummy Warrior being the front line. That's a full token deck. It does well with the new perks being released and stuff like that. With her damage increase, I think a token build is going to be a little bit more viable. So, Little Red, I see being, like I said, a splash card in some decks during the faction buff week. I see her being in a token build. Whether token build is going to be viable or not is currently up for debate. It takes got to really analyze the perks for that one. And then for Grand Tournament, she'll be good there too. So now they've made her viable now. Nightmare. The range of Nightmare's attack is now twice as long. Its passive ability's buffing strength is up by 20%. Being a melee hero, the Nightmare didn't always get a chance to catch up with the enemies it debuffed. To fix this, we've increased the range of its attack. Moreover, we buffed its ability to keep up with similar heroes. Not too upset about this. Nightmare is one of my Rune Hunt cards this week, so I have been playing him quite a bit. He deals extra 18% damage now to enemies affected by fear. The reason why I'm not upset about it, Muerta is one of my Rune Hunt cards, so these two pair very well together. Muerta gets the fear on her skeletons. He gets an increase from that. And I also put on Eldritch Horror onto him along with Fortification to make him a little bit more tanky. So stay tuned, there will be a video on this because Rocker surprised me and Nightmare surprised me. So they do very, very well now. He is not exactly, I think I would put him in the same standpoint as Little Red here. During the faction buff week, he's going to be good to splash in. If he is a Rune Hunt requirement, he's not bad now. So makes him able to be used and not necessarily a waste of resources anymore, where he was that in the beginning when perks were released. Before perks were released, Nightmare was really good, especially in a fear-based deck, because before perks, your decks were built around a specific type. Shock, fear, damage, doesn't matter, you still had your way around that. Nightmare paired with Muerta and Evil Eye is still very, very viable, very, very strong, especially when you get that fear rolling. Again, splash card. Could be good in a fear deck, but outside of that, splash card for buff week or a fear deck. possibly used in Grand Tournament with other fear factors, such as, Evil Eye, basically. Succubus. The duration of the charm effect at merge levels 3, 4, and 5 is up by 1 second. The Succubus's ability was a tad too short-lived to really make a difference. Now her targets will stay charmed longer, allowing them to cause more chaos within their allies' ranks, especially if they get to use their abilities. Succubus having that increase is yet another splash for the buff weeks as well. Like right now, Legion of Darkness is the faction week, or faction buff week, or faction of the week, there we go, and it's Morbid Charm. So each time one of them dies, they have a chance to charm the opposition. Succubus is now very good at being splashed into that, because upon her death, she could charm them, plus she has the charm off her ability, so it's a lot of turning the enemy's deck against them and winning off of that. Very good splash card, good for Grand Tournament. Outside of that, I really still don't see her purpose. She is another one of the 3 buff pattern cards, so again, don't see the purpose. But that being increased by 1 second will be good for people who need to use them in Grand Tournament because they didn't have a better option, or they're using it in a faction buff week splash card. Again, Nightmare, Little Red, and Succubus I would put in splash, which is not a bad thing. Every deck needs a splash card. Whether it is to elevate 1 or 2 cards, or it's to elevate 1 or 2 of the other cards. Every deck does need a splash card. Tech Golem finally got nerfed. I need a drink because my throat is just dry from all this talking. Tech Golem was nerfed. His damage is down by 7%, and the amount of damage dealt by his ability is down by 5%. The Tech Golem has always been one of Ludus' most versatile heroes, able to both soak up lots of damage and deal it to nearby enemies. We've toned down its offensive capabilities, but kept the high resilience to emphasize its role as a defender. I am so thankful for this. This now means that Tech Golems that have max armor, Tech Golem plating. Oh, I hate that fucking perk. Tech Golems with that perk now will now be able to be handled a little bit more effectively by ads, such as Muertes Skeletons, Mummy Warriors, Dogs, Jelly Knights Slimes, the Idols from Witch Doctor. All of these ads. Essentially what would happen, Tech Golem wouldn't take damage for the first 7 seconds. He would not take damage at all. Then, the second he could take damage, Muertes Skeletons would come out, his ability would hit, and the Skeletons would go bye-bye. So now that the fact that it's been nerfed a little bit does mean that the Skeletons will be able to attack and hopefully get through that shield that comes from its abilities to get to its health bar a little bit quicker, making him a little bit more easier to handle. That would be the best way I can state that. It'll make him easier to handle. So, big positive there. Evil Eye. The amount of damage dealt by Evil Eye's ability at merge levels 3 and 4 is up by 5%. The amount of damage dealt by its ability at merge level 5 is up by 30%. Despite its merge level 5 Fear Beam acting as a decent mind control ability, it prohibited the Evil Eye from taking part in the fight directly. To make up for this fact, we've significantly upped its ability's damage at merge level 5. We also increased it at merge levels 3 and 4 too, to improve early level performances. I like the ability damage increase. I still don't like the fact that he sits still and basically just becomes a freaking punching bag for 5 dang seconds. Now, 1.7 million damage is not bad, but it is over 5 seconds. It's a leash. He sits there and leashes them. I think what I would have preferred to see, this is just my perception, and what I think would have been better, is if his ability was the damage was increased like this, that's fine. But the ability wasn't a leash. It was, so at merge levels 3 and 4, when his ability goes off, it just hits them, they go fear factor, they run around for a second, then they go back. At merge level 5, it's a leash, and it's a mind control deal, moving them around and stuff like that, and making them wander aimlessly. I think if they took away the leash portion, made it to where he got, 2 or 3 cards possibly feared for 3 seconds instead of 5, you could make that a little bit more viable as, Monkey King or Lightning Reflexes at max level would avoid those things. Like, it would hit, but they would only take the damage. They wouldn't be feared. I think it would be a lot better if he targeted three cards with it, just kind of did a beam, it hit him, he was able to go back to attacking, and they moved around. Maybe that would make him a little bit more overpowered than what he already is now, considering his damage output is so significant. And with Lightning Reflexes, he's just a laser beam cannon. Maybe going down that route wouldn't be that great. Or maybe if they just stopped it from being a leash. They just did one target, you hit it with the ability, he goes off and continues attacking again. They're wandering around aimlessly for 3 to 5 seconds. I think that would have been better, but Evil Eye still very solid. I'm taking him to level 13, hopefully to level 15, with all of these new changes and being able to directly pick what legendaries we can get. I'm hoping Evil Eye will get up to level 15 quicker than anything else. Witch Doctor got a massive change. The idol's HP is now lowered by 10%. Their ability, however, has been increased by 30%. The attack idol that comes from him dying is now up by 30%. The strength of the healing idol's effect at levels 3 and 4 is up by 30%. The strength of healing idol's effect at merge level 5 is up by 36%. And then his buff pattern was changed. His buff pattern was changed to make him a lot more viable across the board, instead of having these weird locations for him to pick from. So it's now 1, I believe. Yep. 1 on the top left corner, and then 2 down on his right, which this is pretty good. I like this change. It will make him better. I still don't like the 3 buff. The 3 buff is bothersome to me. Buddy has the same problem. Gunslinger has the same problem. It's really weird buff patterns. Gambler has the same problem. It's just a really weird buff pattern. But I can understand why there's cards with 3 buff patterns instead of 4, because the fact that Astral Heroes now have 5, essentially you're making it 1,000 times easier to wipe the entire board clean of rocks and getting more coins. Makes sense, but at the end of the day, if you want all cards to be able to be used, you're going to want to put all cards at 4 buff patterns and the Astrals at 5, because everyone's going to lean towards the 4 and 5 instead of the 3s anywho. So, something to consider. But the healing idol casts regeneration on 1 ally and restoring 313,000 HP over 2 seconds. The attack idol now does 412,000 damage, which is great. And the energy idol still drains 120. And blocking its restoration by 1 second. So that's still pretty solid for Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor I see being used again as a splash card or as a Grand Tournament choice. Popstar. Popstar. Still don't like you, still haven't used you. So the Popstar's attack speed boost, which is her combat boost, I believe. Let's check, because I don't use her. I don't like her. I think she's useless. Enemy increases all outgoing damage by 1%, preventing their HP from dropping below 1%. Okay, so it is a combat boost. Let's go all the way back down. So, the Popstar's attack speed boost is up from 10%, 20%, and 30% to 20%, 30%, and 40%. Pretty good. We buffed the Popstar speed enhancing combat boost. Could have just read that, it would have told me. To make it comparable to those combat boosts that were aimed at other aspects. Gives her a reason to be played. Let's put it that way. I know a lot of people that have her at level 15 and her perk max leveled and stuff like that. She's good because of the fact that her ability makes their HP stop at 1%, giving them that extra second or so to pop off an ability or do a finishing blow. I've lost to her a few times, but until she's at level 10 to 13 for me, I don't see the point in using her. But this is still really good, especially for people who do use her. This is a big jump for your roster there, or for your lineup. And then generic combat boost. The attack speed boost is up from 10, 20, and 30% to 20, 30, and 40%. Despite the increase to attack speed also affecting energy accumulation, the overall effect used to be less useful than that of other combat boosts. We hope the change will make your strategies more viable. I can agree with this 100%. Upon reading this, it made me realize that in games, when I have the combat boost option, I generally tend to go with the attack damage increase instead of the speed, or I go with a personal card increase instead of the attack speed. Now that it's 20, 30, and 40%, I will be incentivized to get the attack speed a lot more often. We hope that these changes will improve your Ludus experience and give you a chance to try out new deck builds. Please visit our social media websites and share your thoughts about the balance overhaul. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Cheers, the devs. I want to add on top of this what they said. And I really would like to express my appreciation to the developers. In our day and age, we have a tendency to want things when we want them, and when they don't happen immediately, we get very, very upset and butthurt and go all Karen on it and start bitching and moaning that things aren't changing fast enough. All of these buffs and debuffs that I have just read off is stuff that everyone has been saying for the last 3 months. Had they changed all of these 3 months ago, I don't think they would be as balanced as they are upon the release now. Them taking the months of comments, all the information everyone gives them, all of the information they get off of the content creators making these videos and stuff like that, they have been able to make the increases that they need to make at a good amount of percentage increase. Because they haven't made cards overpowered. They haven't made cards, one specific card, more viable than the rest now. They've actually brought cards up to be able to be competitive with the cards that have been meta so far. With all of that, I say way to go, developers. You guys did a phenomenal job with this update. I am greatly looking forward to the new Grand Tournament layout. I am looking forward to the new card that's coming out in Galactian. I'm going to lose a lot of money to Galactian because I want him badly. The new perks are working out wonderfully. Vulcan's Fortification. I cannot express how much I appreciate this ad. This has helped out so much against red perks. It has helped out my lineups to where I don't feel like I am being held down and beaten with a freaking rod every time I go into a fight. I feel like when I have this on my side and the opponent has one on their side, I really don't feel like I am at a disadvantage or an advantage. I feel like we are both evenly matched at that point. I guess it's 64%. My bad. It didn't increase. Oh, shoot. Okay. I take back what I said before about 33% increase. When I upped all of this, I upped it very quickly and it didn't change. I guess it's 64% now, so that's solid. I feel embarrassed because I said 33%. 64%. If you overlap these with Brewmaster, it's 128% or 129%. Very, very strong. Very, very good. But either way, it is not to the portion where I feel like I am being cheated. Beforehand with landmines, with Sharknado, and other cards at max level, I felt cheated. I felt like if I didn't have those cards or those perks at red as well, I was never going to be able to get any higher than where I was at. Since Fortification has been dropped in the last 24 hours, I have increased my ladder ranking by a few hundred trophies, and I'm trying to reach top 100 again. We'll know at the end of the season whether I have it or not based off my avatar frame. I'm hoping to get into top 100, but Fortification has allowed for me to be able to fight and be able to feel like I'm not being weighed down or hindered. So very, very good ad. Helps out quite a few people, such as myself, and I appreciate that drastically. The Galactian Singularity is going to do a giant shift in the meta for perks being used and stuff like that, and I'm very looking forward to that. Aqua Vitae I will be taking up because I want to make sure I'm not overlooking a viable perk. But again, I'm going to end this video two ways. The first is going to be by saying thank you to the developers for doing this update, for making all the things that have been stated changed, for showing all of us that you are listening to what we are saying and that you are taking in all of our information. Now we all know that once we go and say what is happening, once we voice our opinions and voice our frustrations, we don't have to worry about the amount of time it takes to get there because we know it's going to get there. We can now go and fully state the developers are taking all of the information and making proper adjustments to where things are not overpowered and things aren't underpowered. So for you guys, thank you so much. For everybody else, I'm going to end the video the same way I always do. Life can be fun if you allow it to be. We'll see you next time.